What happens when a newly sober single mom tries to pull her life together in Napa Valley while dealing with her wayward mother? Dysfunctional family structures and everything else going on right here in a sitcom that you never saw, or maybe it was just me, Mom. I am just Blane. She is Coco. You are the freaks. This is Parallel Frequencies. I am rattled a little bit today, Coco. I'm out of my element. I am
Clearly,
upstairs.
yeah.
I'm not in the studio. The studio is being reworked right now, and I'm waiting on a very, very important FedEx package. Do you know how that feels? Like, do you know how that is? It's like every minute is hours when you're waiting on something.
I'm a creature of habit, so when things are different, it does take me some adjusting. I mean, I'm capable of flexibility. Being able to be flexible is a superpower, but I do get rattled when things aren't in the right time, in the right place.
I'm asking more about the anticipation. When you order something and it's so important that you're just sitting and watching it, like I'm waiting for the FedEx truck to drive by. If you guys see it, please let me know.
Yeah, we have to flag it down. We've got to warn you.
When I bought my first pair of turntables, and I'm not going to say when, it was a long time ago. They were belt-driven turntables, and DJs out there will know that's a long time ago. I sat there on my front porch, and I waited. I'm talking about days. I just sat there and just watched for the truck.
How convenient. But at the time,
there's something about it.
That's got to be
something.
You know
about
what? Relish this anticipation. You know why? Because your brain is getting fed all kinds of dopamine right now. That once you get the package and you open it and everything else, then it's gone. Like it's here. It's done. Right?
So you know what? It's kind of like reminds me of Pokemon cards.
Yeah.
You want to collect them all. You want to chase them. You get them, and it's that dopamine hit. You even get a dopamine hit when you land a pack of Pokemon cards, much less open them. It's the same. Yeah, it's the same feeling.
It's the same feeling. Chasing that dopamine hit. My son's been walking around with three or four packs of Pokemon cards for the last 4 days, and he won't open them. In fact, he made my husband get out the scale because he has this
Did he weigh them?
theory. He's like weighing them to see how many grams they are, to see if like one of them might be an 11 card pack, and maybe it has a something card that I don't even know.
I'm gonna tell you right now, because I'm tapping into the underground scene for the Pokemon cards, and your son is a kingpin. He's a kingpin in the underground, the daybreak underground Pokemon scene. He is out there hustling, making money. He's making money.
He was born for this. He was born for this. I'm telling you what, that kid he was like 6 years old. He had a snow cone stand he was going to make money at. Before I knew it, I walked out there and he had half the kids working for him. All to a snow cone stand for him. He made $45 and he was off playing in the playground. He wasn't even there anymore. He's like, I got people to work for me. I don't need to be there.
With binoculars, watching. He's probably over there in the bird's nest part of that playground, checking on his product, checking his inventory, checking his employees. He's going to be he's going to run his own business. He's going to be an entrepreneur. I can see that already. I like that. I think that's going to be good for him. Coco, what have you been watching? What'd you watch last night?
Oh, well, I'm getting caught up on all the shows and movies we're going to be covering this week, of course. But then I deviated from that a little bit and watched the new documentary on Netflix, Marty, Life's Short.
Life is Short? Yeah. Oh, my gosh. How was that? I love Martin Short. When I worked with George Stroumboulopoulos, there's a great video of him and Martin Short doing some hilarious stuff. Go check that out. I'll see if I can get the link to that in the show notes. But I love Martin Short, and I've always heard nothing but good things.
You're going to see all that in the documentary because you see all the people that he worked with. You see his career as he opted not to follow his fellow Toronto group into Second City in Toronto and kind of went on his own journey and kind of supported his wife's career for a bit, but then decided, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just floundering around. I should probably just go to Second City. And then you see, all the friendships that he's made, and John Candy and, Eugene Levy's his favorite, like they're the best of friends. I mean, it was just so fun to see his life and how it came to be and what a joy that man is. Like, from day one, he's had all this tragedy in his life. He lost a brother young and parents. And then it was just so beautiful to see all of that. And I was like crying real good, heavy tears when it talked about his wife, their relationship and, you know, relationship goals. Everybody had them, Marty and Nancy as their relationship goals, and then she sadly passed away. It was just, it was so touching and so beautiful. I highly recommend it. Everybody go watch it.
What's that on? Is that on Netflix?
Netflix.
All right. Shout out Netflix putting that one out. We'll have to check it out. Like I said, I'm going to find that clip because it's, you get to see what I'm talking about. But let's get to, I guess we're going back to Tube Tuesday, right? Because we're going with a sitcom.
With the mom theme. We're continuing.
Yeah. And I mentioned that this is probably a sitcom that nobody watched. I don't think, I'm going to be honest with you right now. This is not one that I watched or have seen like a Friends or a Cheers or any of these other ones that's top tier. I'm not saying Mom is not top tier. I just have not seen every episode. But the ones I have seen, I mean, what can you say? Like it's great. Yeah. It's your kind of raw blue collar survival and radical acceptance is what we got going on here in a drama / comedy, a dramedy really, but it's a sitcom. It's all wrapped up into this sitcom, you know, starring one of your favorites, I think. I think you picked this show just so you could talk about Allison Janney, right? Am I right, Coco?
Best. I mean, who could disagree with me out there? And there is a lot of good stuff that she's done. Listen, you know, you could list her movies and TV shows, the drama, the comedies, I, Tonya, you know, she's West Wing, all these things that she did. But my personal favorite was her character in Drop Dead Gorgeous about the pageant. If you guys haven't seen Drop Dead Gorgeous, we're going to cover that one on Parallel Frequencies eventually because that is one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah. And she's hilarious in that. Yeah, she has range. Let's just say that.
But you can watch this show and then you can look around the room at your holiday get-togethers and you can see which family members of yours are trying to treat life like a demolition derby. You know who they are. And that's clear in this show. It's the same type of trope. It's the same. It's not a trope that we've really seen before. We haven't seen where they get into an AA meeting, basically, a show that's built around that, you know. I mean, Cheers was you know, you had Sam as a bartender.
Yes. Essentially. And then this is the other side of that, which is the people who, you know, obviously alcoholism or addiction has made a heavy impact on their lives, not just in their lives, but generationally. So this show being called Mom, Allison Janney playing the mom, Anna Faris playing her daughter, Christy Plunkett. And then, of course, then her daughter, Violet, she had young and then ends up getting pregnant. So there's this like generational and struggling with addiction. No surprise there, but just how it affected one generation after the other. And they're all bonding over coming to AA meetings, meeting friends, community, and supporting each other, sponsoring each other. And that's kind of what the show is built around.
It's wild. And you got to give some credit to whoever greenlit this bad boy, because on paper, look at it. You know, it's really, it's doing something that is entirely reckless. You know, it's taking the absolute gutter scraping reality of addiction, generational trauma, like you said, and poverty, and it turned it into a fucking prime time CBS sitcom. How? How do you do that? So that's what I'm saying. It was reckless TV in the best kind of way.
I can only imagine executives being like, hold up. You want to make a show that's supposed to be funny around alcoholism and addiction, around these people recovering from something really
and call it Mom. Like, there's like, that's what I'm saying. Who greenlit this? Thank you. First of all,
fine.
like that's
But
about
I
what you
love
can
the
say.
blend of the drama and the comedy. I think they do a fantastic job because it is funny. We're hearing these conversations. They're teasing each other just like they do in almost any other sitcom. These
Yep.
people love each other. The love they have for each other is shown in the way that they can tease each other and still show up for each other whenever they need someone, middle of the night, 2 a.m. and someone's like, I'm in trouble. I'm feeling my down and lowest right now. I'm struggling to not drink. And then they're there for each other. And I love seeing that play out. I was one of those who was late to the game. I didn't watch this show when it came out, but I did binge it when, I don't know, maybe it was like a year or two ago. I'd like binged all 8 seasons and just watched the entire thing. And I was just struck with how beautiful it was that they figured out each other's lives together and supported each other in ways that you'd like to see at AA meetings. You'd like to see that's how it works, that's how sponsorship should feel. It should be close and tight-knit and family-oriented. And also, everybody takes responsibility for themselves. There's a little bit of that dynamic going on there of like...
Let's talk about the dynamic. That's what I wanted to get into. Yeah. Let's talk about how Allison, Janney, and Anna Faris, let's talk about that. Because the casting alchemy here, I'm going to call it alchemy because it did produce some magic, right? But you can have the best script in the world, but if the chemistry's off, you're just watching 2 actors sweat under some studio lights. They made sure they got this right. Anna Faris is Christy. Unique, fragile, rubber band elasticity to her comedy. She's got this different quirkiness. She plays this perpetual victim who is her own worst enemy. And then drop in Allison Janney into that mix as Bonnie. Whew. Bonnie Plunkett is like a reformed pirate who still keeps a cutlass in her purse just in case. Like she's ready. She's ready to go at any point. It's classic American storytelling, really. The outlaw trying to go straight while living in a valley of temptation, except instead of a dusty saloon, the temptation is a box of cheap wine at a suburban supermarket. The dynamic worked, and you touched on it a little bit. What did you see in? Could this have happened with any 2 other people? Would this have worked?
I have no idea. The one thing that's kind of almost amazing and silly about this is that physically, Allison Janney and Anna Faris don't look like mother and daughter. I mean, she's a good full head taller than her. Anna Faris is this tiny little pixie of a person. And they joke about that a lot. They joke about that throughout the show. They point out that like, I don't know how you came from me and all this kind of stuff, which is funny. But as far as the chemistry of the characters go, you just start to see this. Yeah, I mean, they don't, even from the very beginning, they're not showing this really nurturing mother-daughter type of friend, kind of thing. It's like, she's resentful. She is like, you ruined my life and then caused essentially my own life to be ruined by addiction because you were never there for me as a mother. And then you see that play out when Violet decides to cut the relationship off with Christy and say, I get you're sober now and that's fine, but you ruined my life and I have to move on. And she has to take ownership of that. So you see these like little dynamics, and these actors played that really, really well. You feel it. There's this push and pull of like, I want a relationship with you. I want to forgive you because that means my own sobriety is protected if I can forgive you for what you did. And that's what I have to say about that connection.
This is one of those shows that like, you think that you've got some crazy dysfunctional stuff in your family and you watch this and CBS pumps out something that makes your situation feel tame compared to what you're seeing on TV. This is one of those shows that makes you feel better about yourself because you're like, oh my God, it can always be worse.
By being a stripper and, selling coke on the street and, things that they bring up.
Let's talk about the safety net breaking out from underneath them in season 8 when the show took a massive pivot and Anna Faris, she exits. Now, usually when the co-lead leaves a sitcom, that's the death knell. You can hit the horns, get ready. They're going to it's going to be done. But it didn't necessarily do that here, because I think season 8's good too. I think it still came across okay.
Building all 7 seasons behind it was they didn't, even though she and Bonnie, Christy and Bonnie are the, you know, 2 main characters. They are the mom and daughter, and it kind of centers them. They did a really good job of making it so that they were part of this ensemble cast that really, like, everybody played such a part in supporting each other in their ups and downs throughout the years. You got to see a little bit about, for example, Jamie Presley playing Jill, you know, is part of their little group. Marjorie, oh my gosh, the frenemy relationship between Marjorie and Bonnie is probably one of my favorite dynamics in the show.
That's Mimi Kennedy right there. Mimi Kennedy. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so you get these characters that are going through such cool, interesting, sometimes really tragic things. And then, when Christy decides to leave and she's been preparing for this for a few seasons, so she's going to law school. She wants to become a lawyer. She's working nights and weekends and paying for it. And I mean, you see her struggle. You see her trying to get through that. And then she finally gets to go. And that's how they kind of, you know, let her go when she decides she doesn't want the show anymore. And you miss her absence. Don't get me wrong. It is a big shock to the show, and probably why they wouldn't continue more than 1 season after her. But they've got this ensemble cast that carried it for that last season there.
Yeah. Yeah. But this show, Mom, it really did do something fascinating when Anna Faris left, and kind of leaned into it. You know, it leaned into the reality of recovery communities instead. So when one person leaves a group in a recovery community, whether they move away, relapse, or just drift, the circle doesn't disappear. The remaining members just pull in their chairs a little closer, or new members come in and they widen the circle even more. You know, so I love how they leaned into the fact that she left, basically. They instead of it tanking the show, and they really did. They wrote it in to where it made sense. Yeah, a lot of shows don't do that these days.
Yeah. And I love the thread of addiction, and the thread of the recovery from addiction was a real focus here, showing people who've been through a struggle, who've been through addiction, who've had loved ones going through addiction, showing that there was hope when there was relapse or something happened. There was always this like support of like, don't worry, day 1 again, you know, you've got us getting through it. They showed the realities of what that feels like, what that's like. And even I appreciated them showing on the show that just because you get sober and you kind of try to get your life back together little by little doesn't mean life is easy. There's a lot of moments where like Christy goes through eviction, job loss, you know, there's death and there's grief and there's all these things that happen to them. And you can absolutely understand or see why they'd be struggling to stay in sobriety, and that would be, but to have the attitude of like, well, all this is happening to me, but at least I'm sober.
Yeah.
At least my life is better than it was when I was drinking. So I've got that going for me, and I won't let go of that. And that I think is really powerful for people to watch, even on a sitcom, to be like, okay, there's hope.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your final thoughts on Mom?
Star-studded cast. Octavia Spencer in this one. And you've got Emily Osment playing the role of Jody, who's in it for a brief period of time. Again, showing that the cast, the characters in this show go through really hard things, like one of their members dying of an overdose. And that's really heavy and hard. Yeah. I love I can't forget to mention Adam, character of Adam. Let's see if I can say his name. William Fichtner?
Yeah.
Playing Bonnie's fiance, and I think they eventually get married. I can't remember. I think he's like a forever fiance. I'm not. Anyway, he does a fantastic job too, playing his role. So I just wanted to point out these people, like, this might have been a sitcom that slipped by. You didn't see it, I didn't see it when it first came out. So definitely go watch it. It's worth it.
I think the legacy of Mom is radical honesty with a laugh track. Because you mentioned it, like we saw people die, we saw people relapse, we saw people lose their homes, custody battles, it's just, and forgiveness wasn't even guaranteed just because you said you were sorry, which most sitcoms, it's like, oh, roll to the next episode, so they didn't do all that. They gave you gritty, they gave you real, there's people who are going through stuff like this. They're closer to you than you think they are. How about that?
Yeah. Yeah, so, it could be anybody. A lot of high functioning addiction happening in our world. And so to have compassion for people who are trying really hard and knowing that relapses are almost inevitable and that there is just always another chance to get back up and try again. It's always day one again, and that's okay. This show kind of shows that journey. I love that. And I hope people find hope if you are struggling.
I also want to mention that it stripped away the traditional preachy television episode stuff too. It didn't really do that to you. So you learn lessons and you get to choose which way to go. They're not telling you. They're not laying out a blueprint. It's just like, hey, this is how we do things. But I enjoy the show. I will watch more of it. I hope others will too, because you should give it a chance. It's up there. It's up there in sitcom world, and there's a lot of sitcoms out there. So if you're a fan of sitcoms, go watch it. Freaks out there, tell me some other sitcoms that if I haven't seen Mom, I definitely haven't seen.
What else are we missing?
What are we missing? Tell us what we're missing. But that's going to do it for this episode of Parallel Frequencies. I am just Blane. She is Coco. You are the freaks, and we will see you on the other side. I don't know.